So, how do you build a business that not only survives but thrives for over 65 years? Well, the company we're looking at today built an absolute empire by focusing on one simple, powerful idea. This isn't just about real estate. It's about how one family's vision for how we should age has changed thousands of lives. Let's dive into the Dial story. I want you to think about something for a second. What if a company wasn't really driven by profit margins and spreadsheets, but by something way more human? And what if that family spirit became the blueprint for a community that now spans multiple states and cares for thousands of people? Well, that is the story of Dial's Senior Living. And believe it or not, it all started with a simple conversation about a telephone. To really get Dial, we have to go back, way back to 1959, because the company's entire identity, this whole focus on connection, was baked right into its name from the very first day. You gotta love this origin story. The founder, Joel Katleman, was trying to come up with a name for his new real estate company back in Omaha. So he asks his mom, and she just points to the rotary phone on the table. She says, look, 10 finger holes for 10 digits, and there are 10 letters in Dial Realty. It was perfect. And just like that, the brand was instantly tied to communication. From its very first breath, Dial was a company built on listening to family. So for the first couple of decades, Dial did what you'd expect. They built homes, branched out into apartments and shopping centers. But here's the thing. Managing all those apartment buildings turned out to be this accidental masterclass. It taught them all the little details of managing life for lots of families under one roof. They didn't know it yet, but it was the perfect training for the huge pivot that was coming in the 1980s when they looked at the country's changing demographics and found their true calling. And this, right here, this is where the story really takes off. This is the moment a real estate company had a huge realization. Their most valuable asset wasn't the buildings at all. It was the people living inside them. This slide really says it all. It shows this massive mindset shift. They went from being a transactional landlord, your job is to collect the rent, fix a leaky faucet, to being relational. They realized that in senior living, the building is just a shell. The real product, the real focus, is the human happiness inside. The goal wasn't just collecting rent anymore. It was providing dignity and creating joy. They had to stop being landlords and start being caregivers. And what really cemented this new way of thinking, what made it absolutely non-negotiable, was when the founders' own parents moved into Dial communities. I mean, think about it. Suddenly, every single decision, from the food on the menu to the person you hire, gets filtered through this one deeply personal question. Is this good enough for my mom, for my dad? Excellence wasn't just a business goal anymore. It was personal. Okay, so they had this incredible philosophy. But could it actually grow? That was the challenge for the modern era, under current president Ted Lowndes. How do you scale a company that's built on a feeling? How do you copy and paste a family atmosphere across thousands of units in 6 different states? Well, the numbers tell a pretty incredible story. When Ted Lowndes took the helm back in 2001, Dial managed 137 units. Today, in 2025, that number is over 2,000. And this wasn't just growth for the sake of getting bigger. It was proof that their people-first philosophy wasn't just some nice, warm, and fuzzy idea. It was actually an amazing business model. So how'd they pull off that kind of growth without losing their soul? This quote from Lowndes is the key. They basically took a high-tech, high-touch approach. They used technology to streamline all the back office stuff, billing, scheduling, logistics. But, and this is so important, the goal wasn't to replace people. It was to free them up. By automating the paperwork, they gave their stuff more time to do what actually matters. A computer can't hold a hand or share a story. Dial knew that the human touch is absolutely everything. All right, so we've talked about the why behind Dial's success. Now let's get into the how. How do you actually make compassion a system? For Dial, the answer is a simple but really powerful acronym that guides everything they do. Now, this isn't just some motivational poster they hang in the break room. The family framework is literally their operating system. Families serving family means there's no us and them between staff and residents. Make a difference means an employee can solve a problem for someone without needing to ask for permission. They hire by it, they train by it, they promote by it. It's how they make sure the culture stays strong no matter how big they get. And that I for innovation with integrity led to one of their most important breakthroughs, the Live More Memory Care program. It's all built on this incredibly profound idea. For people with dementia, factual memories might fade, but emotional memories, those often stay strong. They might not remember your name, but they will absolutely remember how you made them feel. So the goal of Livemore isn't to quiz them, it's to surround them with positive feelings. And here's how that works in the real world. The approach is so simple, but it's powerful. First, you engage those emotional memories with things like familiar songs or art projects. Second, you restore choice. Even something as simple as letting a resident pick out their own outfit for the day is a huge act of dignity. And third, the whole point of it all, create daily joy. The focus is totally on how residents feel, not just on what they do. If the story ended right there, it would still be an amazing one. But that family serving family idea, that drive to create dignity and joy, it actually goes beyond the walls of their own buildings. It reaches out into the wider world through a pretty remarkable foundation. Dial for Seniors was basically created to answer a really tough question. What about all the seniors out there who can't afford this kind of care? This nonprofit is all about filling in the gaps that government programs and other charities might miss, making sure that their mission to help people love the way you live reaches as many people as possible. And the impact is so real. We're not talking about abstract donations here. We're talking about individual stories. They literally funded a new home for a senior in Ukraine after hers was destroyed. They handed out over 100 fans during a brutal heat wave, probably saving lives. They got a specialized medical bed for a man named Kim so he could be more comfortable. But maybe the best part, they get their own residents involved in the fundraising, which gives them this incredible renewed sense of purpose. They're not just being cared for, they are actively caring for others. So what's the big lesson from the Dial story? I think it shows that in the business of caring for people, your most valuable asset isn't your property portfolio, it's a culture of kindness. And it leaves us with this final thought to chew on. In the incredibly complex business of aging, maybe the real return on investment isn't something you can track on a spreadsheet. Maybe it's just a feeling.